Hello, and welcome to the B.A.S.S, Big and Small Screens. This week, I'd like to talk to you about Residue. Now, Residue is a Netflix miniseries, British in creation, starring, I believe, Natalia Tena. Um, and there's a couple other guys I can't remember now. But the main one is Natalia Tena. I think it's Ewan something and James Draven. Yeah, but it basically stars Natalia Tennant as a photojournalist, um, and she's got a boyfriend whose name is Jonas Flack, and there's a detective named James Mathis. These are the main three guys that you can see, and there is an incident in the opening scenes. It's New Year's Eve in a kind of a slightly futuristic British UK city, and an explosion goes off somewhere in the heart of the city. This big bomb in a nightclub, just boom, and Detective Mathis's daughter ends up dying in that blast. She's like literally right outside the club when it happens. She shouldn't even be there because she's too young. And it immediately skips to a year later. The center of the city is under quarantine. Um, Apparently, there was some sort of a chemical weapons uh, facility that was near to this nightclub that had been sealed up, supposedly. Some chemicals got out, so the entire city was forcibly evacuated of that central part. It was walled off, quarantined. Done. But things have changed in that year. Something that the photojournalist has noticed that things have gotten bleaker and darker in the city. Lots of people simply left. There's all kinds of wonderful shots in this three-episode. It's only three episodes, about 45 minutes an episode. So that comes to about 2 hours and 15 minutes, I do believe. It's not long at all. Um, but yeah, there's lots of shots in this show of streets and buildings, not in the quarantine zone. This is just where people live, but they're so barren of people. There's so few people around. It just has a very bleak, depressing atmosphere over it all. And then you've got Jonas Flack, um, who is playing, or he's the boyfriend of the character Jennifer something. I can't remember her name. Everyone just called her Jen. Um, but she's a photojournalist. Uh, Jonas Flack is her boyfriend, but he works for Home Office, and he's kind of the spin doctor who's always up in front of the press, always talking about the quarantine zone. We're doing what we can, etc., etc. You know, there's no spread of the contagion. We have that contained. Everything's under control. However, uh, and then you have James Mathis, the detective, who's looking into his daughter's death and the events of that New Year's Eve. He was a bit of a drunkard and a pill popper before this happened. He still kind of is, but he's kind of trying to focus himself. So there's some stuff going on there. Now, the interesting thing is when everything starts happening, um, and I'm going to put up a spoiler warning in a little bit here, just so you know. But the basic premise is that the photojournalist lady notices some paranormal stuff happening in her photographs that she's taken. She notices some weird, strange things, possibly spirits, maybe ghosts, maybe something else. She doesn't know, but weird things, which end up causing people to do weird things. And when she starts noticing this, she starts delving deeper into this whole thing, and maybe something's going on that the government isn't telling us about, that sort of thing. And here's where the spoiler warning is going to be, because I'm going to be talking about the end of the show. So if I've got you interested at all, go check it out. It's on Netflix, at least it's on Canadian Netflix. I don't know if the U.S. or international. I don't know if international gets Netflix, but I don't know if the U.S. has it or not because I can't see what's on it. So If you can find this on Netflix or some other streaming site, check it out. It's worth your time. Spoiler warning is in effect in 3, 2, 1. Okay. So, the thing that I love the most about this is that there's never any answers. There's never any answers as to what these things are, what their purpose is, what they're trying to do, why they're causing people to kill other people or kill each other. There's nothing. No answers at all. They just build up and they show you this particular thing, this particular event, and hey, look at this, look at this, look at this. Here's all kinds of questions you now have, and the show's over. But despite that, despite that, it is a wonderful show. It it builds this narrative of questions and builds this whatever it is that's out there, whatever these things are. Um, it builds this narrative around them and this mystery that isn't explained and isn't easily solved um, because there's all kinds of weird things going on, and they leave it that way because I believe 100% that it was completely intentional that they did it this way because the fear of the unknown is worse than the known. Because if you knew what it was, what these things were, it wouldn't have that impact. So I'm glad that they didn't explain it, and I'm glad that the ending ended the way it did. Um, when it seems like I'm not going to get into too much detail, but it seemed like it was going for a victory for the good guys. It looks like, oh, this conspiracy, whatever is going on, is going to be blown wide open, and answers were going to start coming, and it doesn't. It looks like that, but it doesn't. It looks like the good guys have won, but they haven't. The bad guys, the government, are still in control of the situation, and it ends on that kind of a note where you're like, but you haven't solved anything. They didn't win. What's no? You can't end it like that. It has that type of an ending to it, but that only enforces everything that happens in the 3 episodes up till that point. It enforces this oppressive feel to the narrative and really drives it home. I think, at least in my opinion. And yeah, it's an amazing ending to it. I'm glad they ended it the way they did, and I'm glad they decided not to explain things because that makes that little 3 episode narrative that they've got that much more powerful. I don't know if they're going to be doing any more. I certainly hope that they will because that was quite nicely done. Uh, so yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to more. I haven't heard anything about it, but then I haven't actually looked into anything because I just ended up watching it here yesterday and today. So it's all very fresh in my mind. Uh, Natalia Tena is wonderful in it. The other 2 actors who play and everybody else that's in it really do give wonderful performances. The special effects are very top notch in terms of being kind of weird and creepy. Um, I wouldn't say it's super high end, but they're quite good. The best the best bits are how some of the photography is done, and there's one bit in particular that really stands out in my mind because it left me really shocked. Even though I knew it was coming, the way the cinematography was and the way the music and everything was just did built to a certain point and executed perfectly. Where our wonderful intrepid girl is looking, taking pictures of this one dancer on the stage all alone in a big theater, and she kind of sees the weird creature swirliness and takes a few pictures of it as she's dancing, and then all of a sudden the dancer, goes and wraps part of a curtain around her neck and pulls out a knife and cuts the rope so that it yanks the curtain and her up in the air. And all up till this point, you had this music that was playing in the background, swelling and getting louder heading toward a crescendo. And then it gets to this point where she goes and cuts the rope, and the music just stops. So all you see is this dancer being yanked up in the air, and then you hear the crack of her neck snapping in total silence, other than that sound. And it was just such a perfect moment, the way it was played out. It was very, very effective in what it was doing because it left me going, oh my God, amazing. Simply amazing. So, I could ramble on about this particular thing because I do like the paranormal, the weird spookiness. This made me think of ghosts and Wraith the Oblivion and all this good stuff, and I'm a huge fan of that. So yeah, this was right up my wheelhouse. I liked it. So, and I would definitely suggest it to you. It is well worth your time. As I said, only about 2 hours and 15 minutes, uh, give or take, um, to watch the whole thing. So not a huge time commitment if you're interested. And check it out. You might like it. So I'm going to leave that here. And as always, if you like what I'm doing, please give that like button a tap. Give that subscribe button a tap as well if you haven't already, so you can be kept apprised of when I put out new videos. You usually try to put out a couple videos a week if possible, but there'll always be at least something. At least something. And throw a comment in the comment section if you've seen Residue, if you've seen other short little shows like this, and whether you think that shorter shows um, are more effective in their storytelling because they have that time constraint. They can't pad everything out over too many episodes. I'm a little divided on that issue. That's something I may talk about in the future. But yeah, throw a comment. Let's get some discussion going. I'd love to talk to some people. And until next time, check out Residue because it's probably one of the better shows out there, even if it is short. And I'll see you next time.